Hello, future scientists. Welcome to an exciting journey into the heart of chemical bonding. Today, we are diving deep into molecular orbital theory, or MOT. This powerful theory helps us understand why molecules form, how strong their bonds are, and even their magnetic properties. We'll start with the basics, then gradually explore its intricate details, applications, and advanced concepts. Get ready to unlock the secrets of molecular structure, from easy to the hardest challenges. Let's begin our exploration with the fundamental ideas of molecular orbital theory. Don't worry, we'll keep it simple and straightforward to build a strong foundation. Molecular orbital theory is a revolutionary concept that describes how atomic orbitals combine to form entirely new orbitals, known as molecular orbitals, when atoms bond. Unlike atomic orbitals that belong to individual atoms, molecular orbitals extend over the entire molecule. This theory was developed to overcome the limitations of valence bond theory, which struggled to explain phenomena like the paramagnetism of oxygen. The core idea is that electrons in a molecule occupy these molecular orbitals, similar to how they occupy atomic orbitals in isolated atoms. The linear combination of atomic orbitals, or LCO, principle states that molecular orbitals are formed by the mathematical combination of atomic orbitals. For this combination to occur effectively, atomic orbitals must have comparable energies, proper symmetry, and significant overlap. Importantly, the number of molecular orbitals formed is always equal to the number of combining atomic orbitals. When two atomic orbitals combine, they always produce two types of molecular orbitals, bonding and antibonding. Bonding molecular orbitals, or BMOs, result from the constructive interference of atomic orbitals. They have lower energy than the original atomic orbitals and increase the stability of the molecule. We denote them with symbols like sigma and pi. Conversely, antibonding molecular orbitals, or ABMOs, arise from destructive interference. They are higher in energy than the atomic orbitals and destabilize the molecule, denoted by sigma star or pi star. The energy hierarchy is clear. BMOs are lowest, followed by atomic orbitals, and then ABMOs. To fill these molecular orbitals, we follow familiar rules, the Aufbau principle, which dictates filling from lowest to highest energy, the Pauli exclusion principle, allowing only 2 electrons with opposite spins per orbital, and Hund's rule, requiring single occupancy of degenerate orbitals before pairing. Finally, bond order, calculated as half the difference between bonding and antibonding electrons, tells us the number of bonds and indicates molecular stability. For instance, the H2 molecule, with 2 bonding electrons, has a bond order of 1, signifying a single bond. Time to test your understanding. Here are 3 practice questions to solidify your grasp of the easy concepts. Take a moment to think about the differences between bonding and antibonding orbitals, calculate bond order for a simple molecule like E2, and recall the essential conditions for molecular orbital formation. Good luck! Now that we've covered the basics, let's deepen our understanding of molecular orbital theory. We'll explore the types of molecular orbitals in more detail and learn to construct energy level diagrams. The LCO principle isn't just a simple combination, it involves the wave-like nature of electrons. When atomic orbitals wave functions combine in phase, it's like 2 waves adding up, leading to constructive interference. This concentrates electron density between the nuclei, forming a stable bonding molecular orbital with lower energy. But if they combine out of phase, it's destructive interference, creating a node, a region of zero electron density between the nuclei. This forms an unstable antibonding molecular orbital with higher energy. Based on how atomic orbitals overlap, we get 2 main types of molecular orbitals, sigma and pi. Sigma molecular orbitals are formed by head-on or axial overlap, like 2 s orbitals or a pz orbital overlapping along the internuclear axis. Their electron density is symmetrical around this axis. Pi molecular orbitals, on the other hand, form from sideways or lateral overlap, such as two px or py orbitals. Their electron density lies above and below the internuclear axis. Remember, pi x and pi y orbitals are degenerate, meaning they have the same energy. The energy order of molecular orbitals is crucial for predicting molecular properties, and it's not always the same. For heavier elements like oxygen and fluorine, the molecular orbital energy sequence starts with sigma 1s followed by sigma star 1s, then sigma 2s, sigma star 2s, sigma 2pz, then the degenerate pi 2px and pi 2py, their antibonding counterparts, and finally sigma star 2pz. However, for lighter elements like boron, carbon, and nitrogen, a phenomenon called sp mixing occurs. This interaction between 2s and 2p atomic orbitals causes a swap in the energy order. The degenerate pi 2px and pi 2py orbitals become lower in energy than the sigma 2pz orbital. This subtle difference dramatically affects the electronic configuration and properties. For example, understanding these diagrams allows us to predict a molecule's magnetic properties. If a molecule has one or more unpaired electrons in its molecular orbitals, it's paramagnetic, like oxygen, which is attracted to a magnetic field. If all electrons are paired, it's diamagnetic, like nitrogen, which is repelled. This explains why O2 is paramagnetic, a key success of MOT that VBT couldn't explain. Let's put this into practice with the oxygen molecule. Oxygen has 16 electrons in total. Following the energy order for elements with Z greater than 7, we fill the molecular orbitals. The configuration would be sigma 1s 2, sigma star 1s 2, sigma 2s 2, sigma star 2s 2, sigma 2pz 2, pi 2px 2, pi 2py2, and then, crucially, pi star 2px1 and pi star 2py1. Notice those last two electrons are unpaired in the degenerate antibonding pi orbitals. Now, let's calculate the bond order. We have 10 electrons in bonding orbitals and 6 in antibonding orbitals. So, bond order is half of 10 minus 6, which equals 2. This signifies a double bond in oxygen. More importantly, because of those two unpaired electrons, oxygen is paramagnetic. This prediction was a major triumph for molecular orbital theory, correctly explaining an experimental observation that valence bond theory couldn't. Understanding these diagrams and filling rules is fundamental for analyzing any diatomic molecule. Alright, let's consolidate your knowledge with these 5 medium-level practice questions. You'll be asked to draw more diagrams, determine bond orders and magnetic natures, explain energy differences, and compare stability. Remember to apply the correct energy ordering for different atoms. Take your time to work through each problem. Good luck! Excellent work so far. Now we are moving on to the hard level, where we'll analyze MOT in greater depth, compare it with VBT, and explore its applications to more complex scenarios. It's time for a comparative analysis between molecular orbital theory and valence bond theory. VBT, while simpler to visualize, excels at explaining localized bonds, hybridization, and molecular geometry using concepts like VSEPR. However, it falls short in explaining phenomena such as the paramagnetism of oxygen, the existence of species like H2+, and the delocalized bonding found in molecules like benzene. This is where MOT shines. Molecular orbital theory successfully accounts for paramagnetism, provides a clear picture of delocalized electron systems, and accurately predicts the existence or non-existence of various molecular species based on bond order. It offers a more accurate representation of electron distribution and energy levels within a molecule. Yet, MOT isn't without its complexities. It's generally less intuitive for directly predicting molecular geometry and can become quite computationally intensive for larger molecules. Ultimately, both theories are models, but MOT provides a more comprehensive and accurate framework for understanding the intricacies of chemical bonding. When we consider heteronuclear diatomic molecules, like carbon monoxide or nitric oxide, the game changes slightly. Here, the combining atomic orbitals are not of equal energy because the atoms have different electronegativities. The atomic orbitals of the more electronegative atom, like oxygen, will be inherently lower in energy than those of the less electronegative atom, like carbon. Consequently, the molecular orbitals formed will be distorted. The bonding molecular orbitals will have a greater contribution from the lower energy atomic orbital, that is, from the more electronegative atom. Conversely, the antibonding molecular orbitals will have a larger contribution from the higher energy atomic orbital, belonging to the less electronegative atom. This unequal contribution influences electron distribution and reactivity. Moreover, bond order is a powerful predictor of molecular properties. A higher bond order signifies a stronger bond, leading to greater molecular stability, shorter bond lengths, and higher bond energies. For instance, the triple bond in N2 makes it exceptionally stable with a very short bond length compared to the double bond in O2 or the single bond in F2. Let's introduce two crucial concepts in molecular orbital theory: HOMO and LUMO. HOMO stands for the highest occupied molecular orbital. This is the molecular orbital with the highest energy that contains electrons. In chemical reactions, the HOMO is typically where a molecule donates its electrons, acting as a nucleophile. Conversely, LUMO stands for the lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. This is the molecular orbital with the lowest energy that does not contain electrons. The LUMO is usually where a molecule accepts electrons, behaving as an electrophile. The energy difference between the HOMO and LUMO, known as the homolumo gap, is incredibly significant. A smaller homolumo gap often indicates higher chemical reactivity, as less energy is required for electron transitions or interactions. This gap is also directly related to a molecule's spectroscopic properties, influencing how it absorbs light in the UV visible region. Understanding HOMO and LUMO provides valuable insights into a molecule's potential reaction pathways and electronic behavior. It's time for the hard-level practice questions. These 7 questions will challenge you to compare theories, apply bond order concepts to stability and bond length, explain the nuances of heteronuclear diatomics, and understand the implications of HOMO and LUMO. Think critically and justify your answers using the principles of Mott. Good luck! Welcome to the hardest level of our journey into molecular orbital theory. Here, we'll delve into its quantitative aspects, advanced applications, and connections to complex chemical phenomena and materials science. While we've mostly focused on qualitative aspects, the LCAO method has a robust quantitative foundation. Precisely determining the energy of molecular orbitals and the exact contribution of each atomic orbital requires solving the Schrödinger equation. This involves complex mathematical terms like overlap integrals, which measure the extent of orbital overlap, and resonance integrals, which reflect the interaction energy between atomic orbitals. The energies are then calculated using these integrals. Furthermore, experimental evidence profoundly validates Mott. Photoelectron spectroscopy, or PES, directly measures the ionization energies of electrons from various molecular orbitals, providing a clear map of their energy levels. UV visible spectroscopy reveals electronic transitions, typically from HOMO to LUMO, confirming the existence and energy of these orbitals. The absorbed wavelength is inversely proportional to the HOMO-LUMO gap. And finally, electron spin resonance, or ESR, spectroscopy unambiguously detects unpaired electrons, confirming Mott's predictions about paramagnetic molecules like oxygen. These techniques provide undeniable empirical support for the molecular orbital model. Molecular orbital theory is fundamental to understanding aromaticity, a special kind of stability found in cyclic, planar molecules with a specific number of pi electrons, described by Huckel's rule of 4n plus 2. In aromatic systems, such as benzene, the p orbitals from each atom don't just form localized pi bonds, instead, they combine to create a set of delocalized pi molecular orbitals that extend over the entire ring structure. For benzene, 6 p orbitals combine to form 6 pi molecular orbitals, 3 bonding and 3 antibonding. The 6 pi electrons in benzene completely fill the 3 bonding molecular orbitals, resulting in a significant stabilization energy, which is precisely what gives aromatic compounds their extraordinary stability. This delocalization, elegantly explained by Mott, is something valence bond theory struggles to describe without resorting to resonance structures, which are merely conceptual. This deeper understanding of pi electron systems has profound implications in organic chemistry, explaining the unique reactivity and properties of aromatic compounds. Despite its power, basic LCA Mott has limitations. It often simplifies electron-electron repulsion and doesn't directly predict molecular geometry, necessitating external theories like VSEPR. For very large molecules, simple Mott becomes computationally unwieldy. To overcome these, advanced Moe methods have been developed. The extended Huckel method is a semi-empirical approach that considers all valence electrons and includes overlap integrals, offering a more refined approximation. Density functional theory, or DFT, is a highly popular quantum mechanical method that calculates electron density to determine molecular properties. DFT is often more accurate and computationally efficient for larger systems compared to traditional ab initio Moe methods, which solve the Schrödinger equation from first principles without experimental parameters, providing high accuracy but at a significant computational cost. These advanced techniques are essential tools for modern computational chemists, allowing them to model and predict the behavior of complex molecules and materials with increasing precision. This evolution highlights the continuous refinement of theoretical chemistry. The principles of molecular orbital theory extend far beyond individual molecules, offering a crucial bridge to understanding the electronic structure of solids through band theory. When a vast number of atoms come together in a solid, their atomic orbitals combine to form an enormous number of extremely closely spaced molecular orbitals. These discrete energy levels merge into continuous energy bands. We have the valence band, formed from the bonding molecular orbitals, which is typically occupied by the valence electrons. Above it lies the conduction band, formed from the antibonding molecular orbitals, which is usually empty or partially filled. The energy difference between these two bands is called the band gap. This gap is fundamental in determining a material's electrical properties. Conductors have zero or a very small band gap, allowing electrons to move freely. Semiconductors have a moderate gap, and insulators poses a large gap, restricting electron flow. Furthermore, Mott underpins frontier molecular orbital theory, or FMO theory, which focuses on the interactions between the HOMO of one reactant and the LUMO of another. This theory is indispensable for predicting the reactivity and regioselectivity of chemical reactions, especially in complex organic transformations like pericyclic reactions, where orbital symmetry dictates whether a reaction is allowed or forbidden. This holistic view of bonding, from simple diatomics to complex materials and reactions, underscores the immense impact and legacy of molecular orbital theory. Alright, here are the first 5 challenging questions to truly test your mastery of molecular orbital theory. These questions require you to synthesize information from various advanced topics we've discussed, including spectroscopic evidence, aromaticity, and band theory. Think deeply, apply your knowledge, and articulate your reasoning clearly. You've got this. Take your time to formulate comprehensive answers for each. Good luck. And here are the remaining 5 questions to complete your hardest level challenge. These questions delve into more nuanced explanations of bond properties, comparisons of advanced computational methods, and the application of FMO theory to chemical reactivity and optical properties. Continue to push your understanding and connect the dots between different concepts. Your ability to tackle these demonstrates a strong grasp of molecular orbital theory. Keep up the excellent work. And that brings us to the end of our in-depth exploration of molecular orbital theory. I hope this journey has illuminated the fascinating world of chemical bonding for you. To continue your learning adventure and access more such comprehensive educational content, make sure to visit synapse.omaps.in. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more exciting lessons. Your support helps us create more valuable content for you. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep excelling. See you in the next one.